Additionally, with a strong vision for the future, Sonaram Arsama had been the first political leader for among the Garos and who also had to his credit for being the person to have generated the spirit of pan-Garoism and instilled in them the feeling of oneness to unitedly stand against the injustices and exploitations of the Bichney Raj and then the British government authorities during the last decade of the 18th century and the early part of the 19th century. Sonaram Rogopre Sangma, born sometime in the year 1867 at a small village called Nachirongda, situated in the northeastern part of the Garo Hills, was the second son of Klam Gabal Moman and Chamri Rogopre Sangma. Including Sonaram himself, his family consists of 3 sons and 3 daughters. At about 12 years of age, Sonaram was sent to Nisamgram, a modern Garo village founded by Reverend Ramke W. Moman, where he studied in an LP school. He then left for Tura and studied there for some more years at the Tura Mission School. Sonaram Arsama read up to class 6, the highest class that could be studied in Garo Hills in those days. While in the school, Sonaram proved himself as a popular leader among his friends. Once injustice and exploitation that is deeply encountered with and boldly resisted against was a steady but large scale of encroachment of lands being owned by the Garos since time immemorial by the Jamindars who established themselves as feudal lords all along the lands lying attached to the Garo hills. The Bichni Jamindar, taking advantage of the fictitious nature of the Gwalpara and Garo hills boundaries, encroached a considerable portion of the lands being possessed by the Garo in the plains. Such arbitrary actions on the part of the Bichni Zamindar on many occasions had invited an open hostility and unending confrontations between the Garos and the Bichni people. Sonaram Arsama was drawn into the vortex of the situations. On close and further inquiry from the old and relevant available documents, he found that much of the land originally owned by the Garo Nokmat in the plains in the Habragat Pargana had already been usurped by the Bichni Zamindars. Habragat was the name of an estate covering large areas lying in and around Krishna under present Golpara district. A prosperous Garo kingdom was founded and established here by the first Garo reigning prince whose name was Habra or Abrasan. He had his capital at a place called Sambol Adal, a detached hillock near the Kaido in the north of Krishna. It was by the name of this Garo prince, the name of the place, and his kingdom was popularly known as Habragat. Sonaram's contention was that his kingdom must not be allowed to usurp by any zamindar, nor it be brought under any zamindari system. Therefore, through constitutional means, he appealed to the British government to give back the entire Habragat Pargana to the rightful heir and successors of Habras. Secondly, the so-called Nazarana lands or the Najarana Mahals lying between the revenue survey boundaries laid for the first time ever by Mr. Kelso and Mr. Beckford during 1849 to 1854 and redemarcated by Mr. Beckett during 1873 to 1874 was also claimed by the Bichni Raj Kumud Narayan to have been a part of this estate. Since British occupation of the outlying spurs of Garo Hills, lying close to Gwalpara in its southern side, the Garo people living in the Nazarana lands have to pay a nazir or a payment in kind as an act of allegiance to the British government. Sonaram, however, demanded that these Nazarana lands belong to the Garo Nokmas and that all these should be given back to the original profiteers. He spearheaded the movement to recover these lost territories of the Garo Nokmas and became successful in his mission. Thirdly, an exploitation of very great nature which had become an eyesore to Sonaram Arsama was that of the forced labor or the bigger system imposed upon the Garos of the hills by the British government during its reign. Under the bigger system, an individual or a group of persons were forced to carry out the orders of the British government authorities. On demand, the Nokmas required to supply people to carry the bag and baggages of the government officers on tour. No payment was given to the services rendered by them. Besides this, the villagers were forced to maintain bridle paths of their own for which they were not paid. Last but not the least, important matter that had been the cause of concern for Sonaram Arsama was the indiscriminate expansion of forest reservations by the British government. As the Garos had their age-old practice of jhum cultivation in the hills, they used to clear patches of jungles in the hills and do cultivate crops there. This was the only means of earning and a source of livelihood for them. The British government, however, on the pretext of preserving the local flora and fauna, by an order, abruptly stopped felling of trees in the hills and prohibited them of clearing jungles for other cultivation purposes, thus undermining their age-old practice of jhum in the hills. Sonaram waged a legal and constitutional battle by taking up all the four above-mentioned grievances. He came out successful in all the three cases except the demand for restoration of Habragat Pargana to the successor and heir of Habra, who was the original proprietor of the estate. With regard to the demand of Habragat Pargana, however, the British government in 1908 admitted the fact of the matter in the following words, which read as follows. The Garos had suffered a loss of some territory under British rule, but that any injustice had been done, it was impossible to rectify it, since whatever rights the Garos might have originally possessed over the areas now forming part of the Bichli Zamindari, the title of the Zamindar was now good, and the Garos had no legal claim. Sonaram Arsama married Thopte Gabal Mohan on the 7th PWD and as a Mahuran. However, in April 1900, he left the job and went to live with his wife at Salpara Rokumari village. He started working for the aggrieved Garo of Mas and the Mas Garo people right from 1899 onwards till his death at Bakrapur on 27 August 1916. He was buried at the Bakrapur cemetery, where his renovated tomb can be seen till today. On this day of his 109th death anniversary, the Garo people remember him and pay great respect to this humble and towering personality of high order. Thank you.